welcome back to the News from the Real World podcast. I'm Quinn.
I'm Jess.
I'm Jody.
And Jess is starting it off with a little website article.
Yeah, great little website if you're into it. It's called Create a Fake Artist's Portfolio. It's an editor pick from fastcompanydesigns.com by Suzanne Labar. And basically, it's this website that will auto-generate a web portfolio for anyone. And when I say auto-generate for anyone, I mean you type in your name, and there's an algorithm that determines like the background of your name, the ethnicity, and all of your like ancestry involved in that name, and then it will last name and first name, and then it will generate whole like random art from things that relate to your background. So like if you're Polish, it'll pull like some Polish art, but if you have like a Japanese first name, it'll pull Japanese art and Polish art, and then create this web portfolio for you that's completely none of your work. It's all pulled from other people's things without any of their permission. And the way I guess they're getting away with it is there's a tagline on the bottom of the website that says, "This is a fake website, none of this work actually belongs to this person, go to this website to learn more."
See,
But it took most users 5 to 10 minutes to even be able to see the tagline on this website.
And I don't see how this ability, why this would exist for anything other than a nefarious purpose.
Well, what it's supposed to be is, it was an artist who came up with this and did all the algorithms and programmed the website to be able to do this in order to make a statement about how everything's moving to digital, but are you really getting what you're seeing? So like anybody can create anything on the internet. Do you know what's real? Is this actually the person that you're looking to hire? Is this actually what they're able to do, or are they just making this up?
It sounds like less of an art project and more of a social experiment.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think a little bit.
They were saying in the article that you would get a response long before, like within 5 minutes, someone would call you, not to hire you.
I think
it was
that was
something
also
else.
a little bit of our sarcastic comment too.
Yeah.
But I mean, the general point was good that by the time someone would be like, "Oh, this person's really good, I'm going to contact them," they still wouldn't have seen the "Hey, this is all fake" little tagline.
Well, and also, what's to stop someone from using a pseudonym? I don't have to be Jody Cohen. I could be Jody Lee.
Anyone
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. So then, is it really an infringement if I'm not using my own name?
That's nothing new on the internet.
That's the internet. Simone agrees with us. She says, "I wonder about a time when we can not tell if a portfolio was generated by a person or by a computer. In that case, employers are going to have to get creative as to how they review people's portfolios. How are they to tell if the work they're seeing is original? What a brain tease."
There you have it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more to say other than beyond that. Well stated, Simone.
Don't steal other people's art and say it's your own. That's my advice. Moving on, I got the technical article this week.
As always.
We
left that one just for you.
This is from from one toolish guy to another. This is from the toolguide.com, and guide is spelled Guyd.
I didn't definitely didn't get that at first. Thank you for explaining that.
What is a lumen? What is lux? And more LED flashlight technical mumbo jumbo. Basically, this article just defines these various terms that we've all heard, and I'll give you the scoop here. The lumen, or LM, lowercase, is an international standardized measurement unit that tells you how much total light is emitted by an LED or other kind of light source. So that's just the standard of measurement. Lux tells you how light intensity is distributed, with measurements often taken at the center of the beam. You might sometimes hear lux related to a flashlight's throw. It also goes on to define a candela and foot candles, which is another term for lux. What did you guys think of the article?
I believe it says it in the title, Mumbo and Jumbo.
Oh no, I understood all of it.
Yeah.
I have a background in lighting, so a lot of this is like, oh, that's that stuff I always have to think about when I design.
I feel like this goes back to an assignment I had in like the 8th grade. So a lumen measures brightness, right? And lux measures distance or direction. I'm not really sure. And this article did not clarify.
Well,
lux in like the candle and the foot candles is more about your brightness over distance. So like how bright is it? X feet. There's some kind of equation where it's like X feet from it, it's this bright.
Okay.
And that's the measurement you use. Whereas lumen, I'm pretty sure, is like from the lamp how much it's emitting,
Okay.
not how much is actually being read from X distance that has been agreed
Yeah,
upon.
so it's kind of like the power of it versus
Right.
the brightness of it.
Important
Hunter
things.
says, well, I had a general idea of what lumens and lux were, but now I have actually read a definition. But while I know what those terms mean, I still do not know what those terms look like. It is one thing to know that 1 lux equals 1 lumen per square meter, but how bright is that in practice? I think the only way to actually learn how bright a lumen looks is to see it in person.
Fair point.
There you go, Hunter. Moving along, trying to be perfect.
Trying to be perfect. This was, so the title of the article is Why Trying to Be Perfect Won't Help You Achieve Your Goals. This is student picked from HuffingtonPost.com
I love this article.
by James Clear.
It's my favorite of the week.
This was a good article.
Yeah.
I thought it was, it was a little compelling because they talk about how, trying to be perfect won't help you. It's about the practice because there's no such thing as perfect, so just ignore perfect and practice your craft. So they basically conduct this experiment with pottery.
This ceramics teacher.
Yeah.
came in.
The ceramics teacher, he divides the class into 2 and he says or 2 groups, sorry. He says this group you will be graded strictly on quantity.
So
Produce 50 pounds of pots.
that's an A,
And-
40 pounds is a B,
Yeah.
so on. So.
And this group, you have to produce 1 pot and only get an A if it is absolutely flawless and perfect.
Yeah.
First of all, I've never seen a flawless pot. I'm pretty sure there are lots of potters and ceramic artists out there who would tell you that.
But-
I would be curious to know if this is a group of novice potters or amateurs or whatever. But basically, the gist of the experiment went like this. The people who had made, more and more and more pots had to practice, and their pots were closer
By
to
far
perfect.
the best.
Yeah, than the
Yeah.
1 pot that
Yeah.
these other dudes made.
Scrutinized over.
Yeah, they sat around and they theorized and they, and they just took the practice in.
Makes a lot of sense. You think in your own work, the more you work at your
they say
craft, the
that
better
old
you get.
cliche,
Yeah.
practice makes perfect.
I used to do swimming, and my coach would say, "Perfect practice makes perfect." Because if you practice wrong, you're not gonna perfect anything.
All right, well, don't confuse the issue.
All right.
But is there a correct way to make a pot? We could get all philosophical.
Yeah, we could all talk about it. But there's the other age-old adage about how you don't master something until you've been doing it for 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So the idea, what they're
It's like
driving
the Mac
home
Gladwell book.
with this article is that it's all about the repetition. It's not the quest to achieve one perfect goal that makes you better. It's the skills you develop doing the volume of work. And so the idea is just about repetition and practice and practice and practice and practice. Because that'll lead you to problem solving and observation and evaluation and, control. So,
There you have it. Well, finishing it off this week, we have Jess tell us about actors. Two articles this week about actors and their contracts.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one I found fascinating. This
Yeah.
article was called Actors Jam Meeting to Seek High Pay for Tours. It's an editor pick from the NewYorkTimes.com by Patrick Healy. Basically, the actors community and actors equity is kind of up in outrage right now because some of the biggest Broadway hit musicals are starting to go out on tour next season. And they're going out not on a full production contract. They're going out on a tiered contract. And for those of you that don't know what that is, a full production contract is basically like, this is a stretch. It's basically like the equivalent of like the Lort A versus a Lort B or a Lort C, which would be the tiered contract. So it's less money, minimums for actors. Less per diem, but there are certain qualifications. Like the tour has to meet certain qualifications. It can't land anywhere for more than X amount of time.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so like some of the days off are different, some of this rules. Sorry, I'm kind of working on my thesis on this. I might have a little bit of knowledge. So basically, Kinky Boots and Newsies are going out, and they were announced to go out on tiered contracts, and everyone became up in outrage because right now I believe there are only 2 Broadway national tours out that are on full prop.
2 very physical shows.
Yeah.
Too.
So you have Wicked that's out on a full production contract, and you have Book of Mormon. That's the other one. Lion King might be.
Probably.
I'm not sure.
It is because I have a
Okay,
friend
yeah,
in that
then
cast.
those are
yeah.
the only 3 that are
Yeah.
out right now on full production contracts, and everything else is going on tiered. And if you think about, Newsies and Kinky Boots, like those shows are up there and equivalent with Wicked and Book of Mormon and Lion King in everything the actors are expected to be able to do, but yet they're going out on a smaller contract. And the producers are all arguing that, well, the reason we have tiered contracts is so that we can afford to send a tour out because, revenue
Costs
hasn't
are-
increased,
yeah.
but the cost of sending a tour out has increased. So, the reason tiered contracts exist is to be able to get more equity actors out on contract rather than all these shows going out non-ec
Yeah.
because of the cost, but at the same time, you're expecting all these actors to do the same amount of work and the same highly specialized skills and not paying them as
And
much.
then equity's in a weird spot too because they don't want the producers to just say, well, we're not gonna produce this play. It's not going
Yeah.
out on tour. They don't want to lose work for their actors, but they want their actors
Well, 'cause
to
they
be
could just-
paid as well as possible.
Yeah, because they could just as easily do a non-ec tour of these
Exactly.
shows.
And that's
I
exactly
mean,
what equity's trying
and-
to not have happen.
And wouldn't we be so excited for our friends who are graduating and needing to find work, and they find work on a non-equity show? I feel like I had some friends when I was graduating from college the first time who went out on Spring Awakening, and the first group of them went out on the equity tour, and then tons of them from Elon went out on the non-equity tour, and it was like, but we were just so excited for them to get work, and now. I feel bad. It's like maybe I shouldn't have been that
It's
excited
almost
about
like
it.
stuck between a rock and a hard place because
Mhm.
you want the actors to get the money that they deserve according to their contracts, but at the same time, it's better to get those equity actors in work on tours rather than, the non-ec. That's the whole point of the union is to get these people work.
Right.
So it's kind of a
Is
toss-up.
it the job of the union to get people work, or is it the job of the union to
To
get
protect.
people to protect their rights at work?
Yeah. Well, they
A
don't.
little bit of both.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Any student comments this week?
There are no student comments on this article, and I'm very
Let us
disappointed.
down
It's such a
twice
meaty
this week.
article.
Disappointed in
Yeah.
everyone who didn't
Yeah.
comment on this. This is
This
so
applies
relevant.
to everybody. Yeah.
So we don't know what's going to happen yet, but there's a town hall meeting for equity on January 27th. So
Really
stay posted,
soon.
Very
because
soon.
there'll
Really
probably
soon.
be another podcast article about it.
Excellent. Well, that wraps up this week's News from the Real World podcast. I'm Quinn.
I'm Jess.
I'm Jody.
Join us next week. Have a wonderful weekend, CMU.
Actually, join us in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And come see
Playground.
Playground.
Oh.
Where's Eleanor for that article?
I know.